Best real estate seller lead sources in 2022. Now, just in the last 2 years alone, I've talked personally one-on-one to over 872 real estate agents on a marketing strategy consultation where we looked at their seller lead generation marketing systems. And every imaginable seller lead generation service or buyer lead generation strategy, I've seen it all. And in today's video, I will share with you exactly what is the best seller lead source for real estate agents right now in 2022 and moving forward. If you don't know me, I'm the founder of Nodesu.io. We work with over 200 real estate agents to help them generate 5 to 20 listing appointments per month from their personal brands online. And I wanted to record this video because as a real estate agent right now, you constantly get bombarded with all sort of services that provide you or tell you that to provide you the best seller leads or the best buyer leads. And everybody says to you that they have got the best seller leads or they've got the best buyer leads or that they got the best lead source. And so many agents I've talked to, have been badly burned in the past by tons of these companies that provide them seller leads or buyer leads in the past. So today I'm going to walk you through different lead sources available to you and give you practical tools to help you decide exactly what to do next to actually build a highly profitable marketing system that generates you not only seller leads or buyer leads, but generates you new listing clients in the real estate space consistently. Before we jump into it, it's of crucial importance that we're on the same page what a seller lead actually means, what it means to have a good lead source, what it means to have a good real estate seller lead source. So many people think that seller leads or leads in real estate are just pieces of contact information, name, address, phone number, email, however you want to put it. And I prefer to look at things in a different way. I look at things from their core principles. And to me, the proper definition of a real estate seller lead is number one, when identifiable homeowner signals exclusively to you that they're interested in selling their house. Number two, you have a means of getting into contact with them. So for sale by owners, absentee owners, strangers in your neighborhood, these are not seller leads. These are not lead sources. These are just sellers. They haven't signaled to you that they have interest in selling their home. And because of that, they are just sellers. Now, when it comes down to seller lead generation, there's going to be two types of lead sources. You're going to have paid lead sources, and then you're going to have free lead sources. Now, in number one, paid lead sources, you've got lead vendors. So lead vendors are companies that sell leads that they've self-generated. Companies like Zillow, Realtor.com, Market Leader, you name it. So you give them money and they hand you over contact information of potential clients. And number two, we might have marketing software. So these are tools like KV Core or anything like that. These are tools where you sign up for them and they run a marketing campaign on your behalf or run a marketing campaign in a way where they can build a process and you run that and you generate leads that way. And number three is going to be advertising campaigns that you run yourself on these platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, again, TikTok, you name it. So paid leads is the first type of lead source, and the second type of lead source was the free leads. So with free leads, you can ultimately meet people face to face, do cold calling, door knocking, or use social media to generate you free leads. So which seller lead source is the best one for you? Which is the absolute king? Well, most real estate agents make the mistake that they think that one of these must be the best one, or they hear another agent use things like Zillow and they think that's the best one, right? Well, that's the issue where if you block out everything else, you put your blinders on and you kind of go at it without properly evaluating the actual pros and cons, you'll end up in a situation where you might waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and not know anything like what's going on or why it's not working or why things are not happening for your business. So really, instead of using analogies where a lot of people just say, oh, this realtor does this or this thing must be the best one, instead, the best way to make intelligent decisions about your marketing is through using systems thinking. Now, you might be wondering, well, I've heard systems before, like what does it mean to have systems thinking? So instead of looking at those things as individual things, you need to view your client acquisition, listing generation as a system. And to generate listings, not just one or two listings here and there, but to generate consistent listings month over month over month. And really to scale that up, you must have a system. So the system itself, it's going to consist of three main subsystems. So number one, you're going to have a lead capture system. So how you generate your initial leads. Number two, you're going to have lead nurture system. That's going to be how you nurture those leads. And then lastly, you have a lead conversion system. So lead conversion is how you convert those leads now into listing appointments, and from there into listing agreement. And then your overall system is obviously going to have inputs where you need for it. So as an example, in this context, you're going to have time needed from your end, energy needed from your end, and also the money you need from your end to put into the system to generate a certain output. Clients generated, listing appointment generated, money generated. So for most realtors, they choose blindly a lead capture system. So let's say they sign up for Zillow and they start receiving leads with them. Now, almost always they find themselves in a situation where they're paying, let's say 100, 200, maybe 300 to 400, I've seen in some markets, per lead, and they just have no idea like how all of that links together in their overall client acquisition system. So if you pay, say, $30,000 for 100 listing leads, how many of them end up converting into listing appointments? How many of them end up converting into closed transactions? How much profit did you make, and how much loss was generated? And ultimately, what most people really miss is how much time, how much energy was needed to nurture those leads, and how much time and energy was needed to convert those leads. On the other side, some people see things like YouTube videos or, things like that. And obviously I get it. It sounds very good. Things like how to generate 50-cent leads. And then they try that and they get, say, 100 leads for like $50, right? So paying basically nothing. Their lead cost is very small. People get very excited. They start thinking about buying a new house, buying a new car at this point, until they find out that, they might be needing to generate 5,000 of these leads and make 3,000 cold calls just to convert a single lead. So you must learn to view your client acquisition system, specifically in the listing space, through a lens of this system thinking, because otherwise, you just end up blindly doing different things, and blindly, potentially, I've seen people lose tens of thousands of dollars just using these things like Zillow, Realtor.com, or many of these lead sources. So you must learn how all these three systems, lead capture, lead nurture, lead conversion systems, how they interconnect and affect each other. And what you're looking for is a system that's lean from beginning to end. So something where you can put in small amounts of money, small amounts of energy, small amount of time, and that you can run profitably in a way that you can actually scale it. Because it's one thing, of course, it's nice to generate free leads, but again, it's one thing to put all the time, put all the energy and everything else into it. So if you remember how I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I've talked to over 870 real estate agents. And when I say this, I don't mean that our sales reps or our client strategies or anything like that have done this. I've talked personally one-on-one to over 870 real estate agents. And I've diagnosed their marketing systems. I've reviewed their marketing in the last 2 years. And I can tell you that less than 2 to 3% of realtors really know their numbers in this way. So when it comes down to generating new clients beyond your sphere of influence, understanding this is going to be the heart of your lead generation. And learn this, you'll be immediately on a path to joining the top 1, top 2% of agents. So what does that actually mean when we're trying to pick the best seller lead sources in 2022 and moving forward? Well, in the number one, we had the paid lead sources. So we had lead vendors, marketing softwares, and self-generated advertising campaigns. While it may be easy to pay money for lead vendors, oftentimes leads you receive are handed out to other realtors as well. And that's obviously a big issue because now you're competing against other real estate agents and you might be ending up in kind of like a pricing battle with them. And also the issue is that the leads themselves, obviously they have just no idea who you actually are. They were on Zillow, they clicked the link, and they ended up on a call with you. So what this means ultimately for you is that if you pay money for these leads, and that's your lead capture system, you'll get those leads, but you'll have to work extremely hard on your lead nurture system. So lots of cold calls, lots of manual follow-up, and then conversion rates on these leads. Obviously, they tend to be quite low due to the factors we discussed about earlier. And with marketing software solutions, you get leads in a very similar way. In these instances, the leads, again, they have no idea about who you are, and the same thing applies. You're kind of left in a situation where, to convert those leads, you have to do a lot of lead nurturing. You have to do a lot of cold calling, manual follow-up, and, realtors like to say chasing people around. So that happens because on the front end, you look like everybody else, and your marketing is not personalized to you. It's not personalized to your exact ideal clients. And when you create your advertising campaigns yourself, the benefit of that is now you have the ability to create ads, create marketing that's going to specifically be tailored to your exact client. And already the lead capture system phase, we get homeowners already being familiar with you. Now that's going to make your lead nurture and lead conversion processes a lot more smoother, and you also have the control over what type of people are actually you're getting. Now the caveat to this is that most real estate agents, I'm not saying everybody, but for most part, realtors are not willing to learn this and then run this properly. So quite often people are, using a company or something like that to run them ads for them. So a lot of people kind of fail to realize the second and third order consequences. So obviously it's nice just to hand out somebody, whip out your credit card and get them to run ads for you. But then if you have non-personalized and generic advertising on the front end, it basically creates a situation where you just have to do tons of work on the back end. Now, obviously for people that are willing to go the extra mile and are willing to look deeper than most people at this stage, it immediately opens up a massive competitive advantage for those people. So out of paid listing generation solutions, really self-generated advertising campaigns are the clear number one for all real estate agents in virtually all markets without exceptions. Now, while lead vendors or marketing softwares, I'm not saying they can't work, they definitely can, but they just require you to step up in the full-time, sales role in addition to being a realtor, and they're very hard to scale beyond a certain threshold. Lastly, we're left with free seller lead sources. So to generate seller leads for free, you can meet people in person, you can cold call, you can door knock, you can use social media. Here, it's obviously important to understand the inputs to outputs relationships and the time frames also involved. So as an example, if you spend 100 hours doing these activities, what is the result you get out of it? So if you ever done cold calling or door knocking or any activities like that before, you just know how much energy that actually takes from you. It is very draining, a lot of rejections, a lot of things kind of happening around. So the input from your time, from your energy is just massive, as the output can definitely be very small, especially these days, especially with cold calling, as the phones and everything have kind of evolved to a point where we can really just turn the phone off or put out a software that really eliminates the marketing calls. The benefit of social media, and particularly organic social media, is that your reach on people is virtually unlimited. You can reach 5,000 people, you can reach 10,000 people, but really input from your end is very, very minimal. Usually you maybe need to spend maybe 50 minutes to create a single post or create a single video or anything like that. While the person, again, who's doing the cold calling, doing door knocking, for them, they can do the cold calling for 8 hours. A lot of time, a lot of energy, but at the end of the day, they maybe talk to 50 people, and we don't even know how many out of those people are even going to be interested, if not any. So this said, you do have to take into account time frames involved. So with social media specifically, it takes time for people to learn, to get to know you, to see you as a number one authority, and also obviously we have the sales cycle where obviously on social media, if you reach 5,000 people, not every one of them will be selling their houses right now today. So it does take some time before you start really ramping up your actual client generation from social media as well. So if you are just starting out, you have tons of time on your hand, you have tons of energy on your end, and you just don't have any business going on, you don't have any money to spend on ads or anything like that, I'm not saying cold calling FISBOs or expired would be the worst way to get the ball rolling. So once the wheel is spinning though, it's important to realize that you really can't scale that beyond a certain threshold, because again, you are limited by time, you are limited by your energy, you are limited by those human biological chains. And when you're at a point when you get the ball rolling, you've been an agent for a year or two, and now you're doing say deal amount, maybe couple $100,000 a year, you'll find the next level. You'll find out that the next level of scale will be usually in social media, using first of all organic social media, leveraging Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google, TikTok, and then also the paid social media side where you can again build these strategic marketing campaigns from start to finish. One thing I wanted to highlight about social media specifically is that out of 872 agents I talked to one-on-one personally in the last 2 years, around 300 or so of them were posting automated content or using templated posts from their companies on their social media profiles. And the result of that, obviously, is that virtually, I'm not saying every single one of them, but virtually none of these people got any business out of their social media. On the opposite of that, people who didn't even necessarily have coaching on it or have necessarily strategic posts, but the people who created their own content, that they put some effort into actually having their own voice behind it, and usually it generated them at least few clients a year from their social media. And those that did really, really well, obviously in our program, organic social media side of it, some of our clients have actually even doubled their business just by using organic social media. I mean, we have clients who've done up to 8 listing appointments in 1 month from organic Instagram. So I hope this breakdown helps you evaluate these free lead generation sources and also these paid lead generation sources so that you can really build up your whole system in a way where it's very low time input, very low energy input, and as little as monetary input possible, but as high output financially for you as possible on the other end. Now, like we discussed in this video, generating listing clients in 2022 and moving forward, it's not just about, paying Zillow, paying Realtor.com, and just generating contact information. I would even say that lead nurture and lead conversion, those are going to be the things that most people really get the biggest bang for their buck. So right now, if you already have, say, 1,000, 2,000 people or more on your social media, or if you already have a database of, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, maybe 3,000 leads you've already paid for, maybe you already use Zillow, Realtor.com in the last years, and you've already built up a nice database of leads, that can actually be a source of leads without paying anything externally to generate new leads for you. So if you'd like to learn about how to strategically nurture these leads and how to turn those old leads and even a little bit newer leads into actual clients as effectively as possible, click on the video that pops below on this screen to learn more about that. It's a free video, so click on that and check it out now.